Roseblood is the new Friday the 13th fan film made by Peter Anthony Studios, and it's a direct sequel to Friday the 13th, A New Blood. And it actually, for parts, sees Laura Park Lincoln reprise the role as Tina, but the bulk of the movie is in flashback, showing what happened after the events of A New Blood, where Tina is being held at a military facility and they're trying to study her powers. We have this in the characters in this I really liked. I thought the primaries were really well done, whether it be this scientist character who you're never quite sure how to feel about. He's a part of the what's going on. He's obviously on board with the experiments, but he seems to have a conscience. Or Creighton Duke. I can't think of the actor that plays Creighton Duke, the character from Jason Goes to Hell, but this actor did a really good job. He feels very much like a young version of the character, and he nails the Creighton Duke mannerisms and line delivery, but he brings a little bit more of a youthful energy to it than the actor who played him in Jason Goes to Hell. And he does his job really well. It doesn't feel like the same character as much as it does like the same person. The actress they got to play young Tina did really well too, and one of the things that surprised me most about this movie is that a lot of it focuses on the relationship between Tina and this other girl named Rose who has powers similar to Tina, only stronger. And that's a lot of this movie, and I was kind of taken away in a good way because normally in these films you're just kind of waiting for Jason to show up, but the primaries, they did their job so well, and I found the relationship between these characters so believable that I'm watching it not caring that, it's this far into the movie and we haven't seen a sign of Jason. And that's not only a mark of good writing, but of good actors that can carry the film. This other girl, Rose, we seen that her family got killed, presumably by her powers. Although we see them watching the videotape, we don't see what's on the videotape. Creighton Duke comes in. He's part of the experiment. He knows something about this mushroom that can amplify the powers, and Tina is the focus of the experiment until they find Rose. Now, this is a military facility, and the colonel and the general are not the best of people. The general even has this private mercenary group, and there's one scene I like where when Tina meets them and she clearly doesn't like them, like the woman in the group's wanting to get all big and bad with Tina, and she angers Tina, and Tina uses her powers and starts choking her and just silences her really quick. Again, I thought it was another really well done scene. The mercenary characters are a little over the top at times, but in a good way, kind of what you would expect in a Friday the 13th film. And it, again, like I said, it focuses on these characters. You get to see some cool stuff, like Tina has an NES with Mario, Rose has a Sega Genesis with Sonic, and there's even a scene where they're talking about, which is better, Sega or Nintendo. That's a nice 90s throwback, which canonically Jason goes to, The New Blood is technically set in 1997, so yeah, it makes sense why they would have these systems, and it was just kind of a cool touch, and it kept the film from feeling too mean-spirited, where at least they're given things to do other than be interrogated. Which is another nice touch, because the first scene we see it with, I'll just call it present day Tina for lack of a better term, but she's talking with Dr. Cruz, and we see she's in his imagination, and she's working on a crossword puzzle, and they keep bringing up manifestation, which is part of the project being worked on by the military. They ultimately, at one point, they bring Rose in this room to do an experiment, and we see a bunch of screaming, blood flowing through the door, and we even see a knife go through the wall. And then it ends, everyone's dead except for one doctor, and Rose is covered from head to toe in blood. And then we get some other cool stuff, like, I love all the Creighton Duke stuff, and this is one of my favorite scenes in the movie, mainly because I've been in the position of the janitor before, where he's like, you're a better person than this, you need to do the right thing and get at least Tina out of here, and Creighton Duke gets mad at him and bites his head off. And, I've been there before, where I would give a friend, what is essentially the right advice, and they take offense to it and get mad at me. So I found that scene very relatable. Now, they ultimately go through with the experiment, and Tina awakens Jason again. And it's not till like maybe the last 25 minutes or so, maybe less, I wasn't watching the time, but Jason doesn't show up till towards the end, and normally I would put this as a bad thing, but because everything was so well written and I was actually invested in these characters, I didn't care, and they more than make up for making you wait to see Jason, because he goes on a killing spree, slaughtering everyone. And it gets to, I'm not going to spoil it, but the best part in the movie, we find out what was going on with Rose and people getting killed. You couldn't argue one scene very subtly telegraphed this, but you'll only think that in hindsight, and I'm not going to spoil what exactly was going on, because this is the best part in the movie, and you really need to see the film for yourself. The finale is great. This is a full-length film too, which I give them props for. And it's not like other fan films I've seen, like, as much as I thought Vengeance was a solid fan film, it did not need to be full length. Every time the film would introduce a bunch of random characters, they were there just to pad out the length and get killed by Jason. In this film, and I like Vengeance, don't get me wrong, if you happen to be watching this and be part of the Vengeance project, I still think it was a good movie, but it's just a minor criticism. Where this film, I feel like every character was there for a purpose. There was no disposable characters. And I'm not going to say much about the ending. This is going to be a solid A-plus fan film. I actually supported the movie on Indiegogo, so something of an adrenaline kick to see my name in a thank you credit, and sit through the credits, because especially if you love Friday the 13th, the game, you're going to love what you see. Now, if you don't want to be spoiled, stop here, like, share, all that good stuff. If you do, in the credits, we see Savini Jason from Friday the 13th, the game, and it says, to be continued. Very interesting to see what they're going to do next. So, have you seen Roseblood? Do you want to see Roseblood? What are your thoughts? Tell me in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe. Over and out.